Basement dweller, otherwise known as squatter, included with $800,000 home in Virginia, and they don't pay rent. So this is on a Zillow listing, and the listing's just kind of going along. All right, this house needs a little bit of work. Oh, and hey, by the way, you've got Buddy living downstairs. That's literally an Ozark reference. Got an old guy, comes with the house. He lives down there. And in the case of Buddy, he ended up being a nice family friend to the Ozark family. But this individual, we don't know. And people are absolutely flipping out. I would never buy that house. It's got so much work. How could it be worth $800,000? We're going to get into it. We're going to get deep in the weeds because we can. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies, and that's why we're getting deep in the weeds on this one. So let's check it out. Let's see what's going on. Because I know you guys love a good case of squatters and being thrown out of a house and illegally trespassing on somebody else's property, and they got to go, and marketing and all this good stuff, right? It's what we're doing. Buying a new house often comes with a few surprises, from hidden mold to unexpected repairs, maybe even a few unwelcome rodents. Well, that's what you have a building inspection for. But this market has been so hot, nobody's really able to get a building inspection. So you're going to have houses for days coming on the market, a year or two. Oh, yeah, we didn't get a building inspection. We missed that item. Not good. Then there's this house in Fairfax, Virginia, which comes with a person or two living in the basement, rent-free. All right, so we don't even know how many people are living down there. It is really interesting that this listing, most of the time you don't try and convey a property with tenants in there that you can't get out, but it does happen. And I have experienced that on the Summit Properties Northwest side and also on the appraisal end of things. You come out to a house and you're like, yeah, and there's squatters down there and they won't leave. And you're like, okay, I got to get in. I got to take photos. Otherwise you're not going to get financing for this bad boy. They always end up working it out. One of the weirder ones I had was a divorced couple. The husband owned the house. He was living on the main floor and upstairs. The wife was living in the basement. This is a big view home overlooking Lake Sammamish, which is just to the east of me. It's probably a $3 million house now. So husband lives upstairs, first two floors. Wife lives in the basement. Wife has a protection order against the husband living upstairs. So he can't go, within, I think it was 30 feet of her. Just this weird, and they were divorced. And she's got this protection order out. He's really abusive, yet I'm going to live in his house for free. So I wasn't allowed to go very near the basement. Everybody knew what the deal was. But you got situations like that, two people living in a house. Why don't you guys separate and go elsewhere? In the case of a squatter, you don't have a lot of options. You're going to have to get tough and figure out a creative solution getting that squatter out. And notice how in the media here, we're not saying squatter. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, they might just not be paying rent. No, if you're living in a house and you're not paying any money, you are a squatter. You need a big hat that says squatter. Illegal squatter. Maybe I should do some merch with that as well. Right? I mean, it's just as reasonable as anything. Yep. This 5-bedroom, 4-bath house on the real estate market comes with a possible squatter. Is it a squatter or not? Just say it's a squatter. Cash offers only, no access to see lower level, and home sold as is, only with acknowledgement that home will convey with a person living in lower level with no lease in place. The listing on Zillow says. I did confirm that. I did look at the listing, and it does say exactly that. So one of my first initial thoughts here is, if a title company sees that, are they going to insure? Are they going to release title on this property? If you've got somebody who you don't know has filed an ownership interest, or you don't even know anything about them, if I'm a title company, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe not. Other issue is, how do you even get insurance for that? Well, unless you tell the insurance company, hey, by the way, got to be really honest, got a squatter in the basement, just thought you should know. Unless you do that, insurance company isn't going to know. They're not going to go in the house. They don't go inside. They do a quick drive by the outside, look around, get as good an indication as they can. And usually it's a condition issue for not getting insurance, for homeowners insurance. So, and the house is built in, I think, 1964. I am guessing it had a remodel, maybe the 1990s, something like that, based on the color of the cabinetry and the countertops. Countertops look like they are Formica. You got white on white appliances. And the house does need some work. But this is a nice neighborhood in Virginia. This is an upper end, one of the nicer areas in Virginia. So $800,000, maybe it's a bargain. Maybe the owner of this property figures, all right, if I discount this enough, I can get this sold. That does happen a lot. While this might seem like a subplot from Ozark, that's literally kind of where I got this reference. And I was like, where do I remember a basement? Oh yeah, Ozark. And then I'm reading this and I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. This is real life, and the potential new owners of the home, which is listed for $800,000, might get more than they bargained for, in addition to the basement buddy. We need to know a little bit more backstory on the basement buddy. We need to know, did they enter there on a lease? Maybe their lease ran out. Maybe they no longer have one. How did they get in there? Are they family friends? We need a little background history on that, because it is not uncommon to have tenants in a property. On multifamily, oftentimes you will see in a listing, interior access and inspection only upon mutual acceptance, which means you've got an offer, the buyer and seller agree on all the terms. Now you can go inside and see. That is not uncommon. That's pretty often, because you don't want to rock the boat of the tenants. The tenants might leave. That was in a previous market, right? When tenants had lots of options. Now tenants have zero options and they're going to stay. So you can pretty much rock their boat. I mean, in reality terms, as far as, okay, we're putting up a sign in the yard. You're going to have some people going through your unit. And it does suck. It does suck for anybody having a bunch of people go through your house, especially with coronavirus. Oh, did somebody put their hands down and give me the Rona? Not good. We were all freaked out about that at the beginning, right? So the 3,548 square foot home is in need of some serious TLC, tender, loving care. I looked at the listings. Yeah, it needs some updating. It needs a little bit of repair. I didn't think it was bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded. And so it needs some serious TLC according to the listing. The original windows have some rot. Okay, if they're, I almost guarantee you they're not original windows from 1962. However, whatever, maybe you've got some replacement windows that they've got some rot. The dishwasher is busted. So bad windows. Okay, so you replace some bad windows. The dishwasher is busted. Okay, so you spend a few $100, you get a new dishwasher. You spend a few more, $100 more bucks, get a plumber to install it. One toilet is shut off and leaks, probably because it leaks and they didn't want the water running. So get a new toilet, you repair the damage, a few grand there, maybe 10 grand if something goes really sideways and it impacts the joist underneath, something like that, maybe 20 grand. I don't know. A carpet on the lower floor needs to be replaced. It was old. It's outdated. So yeah, you need to do that, and so much more. The rest of the house looked outdated, but it didn't look damaged. It didn't look like a real fixer. It looks like a cosmetic fixer, which just needs some help. It's a diamond in the rough. It just needs a little polishing of the turd and it'll be all good. But the guy in the basement, that is concerning. The residence has captured the attention of the popular real estate Facebook page, Zillow Gone Wild, as fans went all in on the jokes. I read some of the jokes. They were funny. I did look at I don't spend a lot of time on Zillow because it is not accurate for my purposes, which is professional valuation of real estate and selling real estate. So having it on Zillow, it's kind of in the background. Yeah, it happens and people look at it, but the vast majority of all transactions and sales don't happen because of Zillow. People happen to see it there. Maybe they want to go take a look at it. Then they engage with their real estate agent, but oftentimes it's not direct correlation. So I pay zero attention to Zillow unless I'm doing a podcast on it. So here's a comment from somebody. I'm trying to figure out how in the world this house is worth $800,000 when the windows are rotting. It needs 25 grand worth of floor replacement. Half the appliances don't work and the back deck will need replacing, ? One person asked. Also, is my basement serial killer paying me rent? No, it might not be a serial killer. It might just be a one-time killer. We don't know. That's the beauty. Take a risk. Live life on the edge. Buy the house. See what happens. Buy the ticket. Take the ride, right? So basically, they don't want to sell it, someone said. You need to stick to the end of this podcast to see why that is not necessarily true. So basically, they don't want to sell it, someone said. No, they do want to sell it. They want to sell it on their terms, and they don't want to deal with the joker in the basement who's a squatter. Plain and simple, right? So somebody comes in, maybe this house is worth 1.1 million. We don't know. I don't know that market. So maybe somebody's discounting it heavily at 800 grand. Maybe it's worth 1.2 fixed up. Don't know. But if you are in the real estate industry and you can come in and you can do some repair and fix the enormous issue of the guy in the basement, maybe you offer them, if somebody's squatting and they don't have much in the way of resources, you offer them, hey, I'm going to pay you $5,000 in cash. The kicker is I need you out by the end of the weekend. It's Friday afternoon. What do you think? Here's $5,000 in an envelope. You out, you're out. I'll come meet you Sunday afternoon, 6 o'clock, Sunday evening, 6 o'clock. I'll hand this cash over if you've got the majority of your stuff out and you're not coming back in. Maybe you handle it that way. Maybe there's enough margin in the deal to make that work. This is not uncommon. I mean, it's not crazy uncommon. It just, you got to figure out a solution to the problem. And if you can do that. So people saying, how can it be worth 800 grand? Well, maybe it's been discounted to get it sold. So basically they don't want to sell it, someone said. No, they do. They do. That's why it's for sale. House is livable. I guess if one's standards were low enough, another observed. I've lived in way worse houses than this. This is a decent house. It's a nice house. Maybe your standards are too high, comment maker. I love how casually they slip back into the description of the house. Just so you know, there's a man in your basement that you can't do anything about. What a great opportunity to own this colonial home with a huge kitchen. That is literally how this listing goes. They go from one sentence, there's a guy down there, but this is an amazing opportunity to own this colonial home with a huge kitchen. Don't mind the guy down in the basement. Huge kitchen. The transition there as far as wording your advertisement, that could have been done differently. I would have probably done something a little bit more subtle, such as anything. There is a possible unlawful tenant in the basement with no lease, buyer to confirm to their own standards said occupancy of possible illegal tenant, something like that. You get an attorney to write something, just come up with something that just says, there's a dude down there. We don't know. Figure it out. Caveat emptor, basic principle of real estate, right? Buyer beware. So figure it out. So figure that out. So if you can figure that out, maybe you figure out how to fix all the stuff. Maybe because there's such little supply, some family is going to go, all right, we're going to take a flyer on this. We'll buy this. This is a great neighborhood. It's a big family house. It's a big house, 3,500 square feet. I think that's what we said. It's a big house. So great home for somebody. Somebody else said, wow, what a deal. You mean I get all this? Rotting door and window frames, leaky toilets and broken appliances, plus the added bonus of a squatter or two in the basement? Where do I sign? One person said. People make fun of this. They do because they don't know. So, yeah, whatever. One guy sees squatter, one guy sees opportunity. Squatter, wrecked house, opportunity, make money. That's just kind of how it goes, right? On the one hand, I'm glad they're being transparent about the condition of the home. But on the other hand, could you at least make some effort to make the home look and sound appealing to a buyer? Another pointed out. I think they did. But the kicker is, in this market, you don't need to make the house seem more appealing because there's more buyers than there are sellers. And buyers are freaking out that interest rates are going to go to 6% and they're jumping in. I mean, this is one of the few markets where I have seen our sales relatively increase because interest rates have gone up because people are kind of freaking out. Okay, is this the last time I am able to afford this market because this market is still going up? And also the affordability issue with rising interest rates. What's going to happen? We don't know. I better get in now. So that's a lot of what we're experiencing in the Seattle real estate market anyway. Home sold as is only with acknowledgement that home will convey with a person living in the lower level with no lease in place. No, thank you. I recognize the beginning to a horror story when I hear one, someone said. Or you could say, I recognize an opportunity when I see it. Get the guy out, get the gal out, whomever's in there, 2 people out, whatever it is, get them out, get your renovation going. You're good to go. Now, one of my questions was, all right, they're saying it's cash only. That usually means you've got some major property condition issues. I didn't see anything here. If somebody sent me photos of this one, I get that a lot. People send me photos. Is this financeable? Can I get a conventional loan on this? Can I get a VA loan? Can I get an FHA loan? I got to look at the pictures and go, okay, you probably need to fix that. The roof is blown. You got to repair that. But everything else, you're not going to get a good condition rating, but it's going to be average. It's going to be financeable. So the one thing I saw in this house is it looked like the rear deck had a lot of rot on it. Don't know. Maybe you power wash that and looks okay. You don't know until you kind of get into it, right? No way would I buy a house with a wild card or mystery box in that basement, one person noted. Live a little. Come on now, live a little. Roll those dice. See what happens. What if it was a meth lab that explodes overnight? Well, I got to be honest with you, that wouldn't be good. But you know what you could probably do? Look in through the windows if you can, and maybe see if you got a little meth lab in there. Do just a scooch of due diligence. You'll figure that out. There's probably not a meth lab down there. It's probably just some squatters getting by thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to ride this out for as long as I can, as squatters do. Or any other activity that endangers me. They don't want to deal with that. How do I buy fire or homeowner's insurance for this place? You just go buy it. That's what you do. Oh, really? Yes. Okay. So looking at pictures, you got a toilet, you got a leaky toilet. You just got some deferred maintenance, maybe some big ticket deferred maintenance items. Maybe the roof is bad. Who knows? They didn't make any mention of that. But so that is a listing that is out there. Okay. So here is the interesting thing. I went and looked at the Zillow listing. What do you think that indicates? What makes this an even funnier story? You got it. It's sold. 3 days on the market. I'm looking at this on April the 13th. 3 days on market. It is a pending sale. So all those doomsayers, you missed out on the opportunity possibly of a lifetime to make a new friend that's already living in your basement. I mean, maybe they're the greatest human being ever, and you missed out on that opportunity to get a great buy on building intergenerational wealth, on top of making a new friend, on top of improving the housing stock in Virginia. So you either got your glass half full, half empty, take your choice. This home is sold. Somebody knew a bargain when they saw it. Somebody's going to make a new friend. Now, I would not recommend buying a home with a squatter in the basement just because there's so many variables. It's kind of like when people ask, hey, I know the house is going to close on Friday. Can I get the keys on Wednesday? Can I have my buyers they just want to move some stuff into the garage. And the reason, as a listing agent, guy representing the seller, your name's on the sign out in front of the house, you're not representing the buyer, you're representing the seller. You never, ever give occupancy until you've got the recording numbers in place from escrow, meaning the thing has funded, bank sent the money from the buyer to the seller, seller's got the money, and the county has recorded the transaction. That's when you hand over the keys. All right, it's officially yours, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, or Mr. Agent, Mrs. Agent, Miss Agent. Boom, here you go. Here's the keys, all yours. You don't hand over the keys on a home till it's all said and done. And the reason is those buyers get in there, deal flips. Yeah, they've got some squatters' rights. They can hunker down. They can lawyer up. Pacific Heights. See the movie. It's entertaining. So that is kind of the moral of the story. This one, it looks like somebody's going to take a risk. They're going to figure out how to get that tenant. I guess it's not a tenant. It's a flat out squatter. We don't really know. I'd love to know more about the story, but we're probably not going to find out. If we do, I will circle back and I will let you know exactly how the squatters in the Virginia home for $800,000 that went pending in 3 days, what happened. Give you an update. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.